Ladies and gentlemen, we are back for another movie review. This is completely non-spoiler. We have everybody here, and I'm excited to go through it. We are talking about Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. What's going on, everybody? I got Keaton over here to my right. Got Jorge, got Nat, got Lucas. We just got done looking at Black Panther. You guys already seen our reaction. We're just gonna go straight to the nitty-gritty what we thought about the movie. Cool. All right, let's do it. So, what did you guys feel about going into the movie knowing that one, Chadwick's not going to be in it, and two, there's a lot of back and forth of like whether or not this was going to actually work. You got Namor as a major character. You got a lot going against the movie, but what were you guys feeling going into it ahead of time?
Oh, going into it, I really just wanted to know what they were going to do and how they were going to handle Chadwick's death, because it really, as much as we want to be like, what's the plot of this movie? When I went into it, the only thing I was thinking about is what are they going to do for Chadwick in this movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jorge or Nat or Lucas, what do you guys going into it?
I'll let Nat. You can go first.
I was pretty much in the same boat as Keaton. I just wanted to see how they would handle Chadwick's death and just how, as a plot, they would move forward with, the movie. We'll talk about how that went.
All right, Lucas, going into it.
Hey, but I'm gonna go. I was just gonna again, my biggest thing is plot. Is the plot gonna make sense? That was my thing going into this movie. I don't want to say the death of Chadwick didn't weigh at all to me for this movie, but it didn't weigh at all. I didn't care about that part because I think that's just something that the public has been dealing with since his passing. So I wanted to know, how do you plot forward with him not in the movie? So the plot was going to be the most important thing to me coming into this movie.
Yeah. What about you, Jorge?
I just wanted to see how they were going to represent Latinos. I'm gonna keep it very simple.
Keep it a buck.
That was my main thing. It's how they were gonna bring up Neymar and how they were gonna use him. And yeah, I mean that was kind of my biggest thing, because I don't want to say I'm with Lucas on this one, where like Chadwick really didn't. I knew he wasn't gonna be in the movie, so it wasn't it wasn't a thing for me. So for me, it was just more of, how are they going to introduce realistically this strong Latin character in a predominantly Black movie? And I thought they did him justice. So yeah, that was what I was, kind of most concerned about.
Yeah, and just real quick for me is that, and I'm gonna be really transparent with y'all. You guys saw my review for Thor 4. Honestly, in the past few years of Marvel movies, none of them have hit for me. Either one, they're just jokes or they misfire. It's just not, none of them have really hit home with me, probably since Infinity War. And I don't really consider Spider-Man, the last Spider-Man movie, to be kind of like a Marvel movie. It feels like more of like what their Sony universe was trying to work up to anyway. So I was hoping that this one brought some emotional resonance, some good action, was actually entertaining in the way that Marvel used to be. And for me, that was why I left my comment. I think that it actually did. But we're going to go ahead and get into it. So what did you guys think about the movie? What was the strengths of this movie? And also, you can go ahead and say what were some of the weaknesses. Nat, what were some of the strengths of the movie for you? And what were some of the things you want to talk about that we can't talk about?
I mean, Namor was pretty much the best thing.
We're done. All right, you can cut it. That was it. She said it. That's it. That's it. The review's done. She said it. That's what I was gonna say. So I don't really.
And it's a shame, really, because it shouldn't have been about him. But yep, he was the best thing about this movie. Okay.
Okay.
Oh wow, Jorge, what about you?
I guess for best thing, I would definitely say Neymar and the way that they introduced him, even the way that they did his backstory, because I think that was all of probably 5-10 minutes, and you just kind of got a sense of his character really well, and just kind of like the history behind it. One thing that I'll say that and this is just for me personally, I think that they failed, and I think they failed at. So, and I was talking to Lucas before we saw this movie. I only literally saw the first trailer that came out for this movie, and I didn't see any other trailers at all. I thought that first trailer was more emotional and got me more tied up with the whole like Chadwick passing away and all that than the actual movie did. And it could have been music, it could have been sound, that they chose throughout that first trailer, but I thought that was more impactful than the way they did it in the movie, which that kind of, I think that's when I kind of like unclicked myself from the whole like, oh, this, they're trying to honor this dead actor and slash superhero per se. But yeah, I would say best part Neymar, worst part was that the trailer got me in my feelings more than the actual movie did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let me bring it over here. I'm sorry. Keaton, what was one of the
Yeah.
best parts, and then what was some of the negatives?
I agree. I loved everything they did with Namor, but yeah, I agree with Jorge. Like both trailers evoked more emotion from me. And I don't know if it was just how they shot it or if it was the music that they chose, but like I felt I walked out of this movie thinking that I would have used thinking I was going to use a lot more Kleenex than like I really, because those first trailers, I mean, they just weighed heavy on you, and I was just like, man, this movie's going to be an emotional roller coaster. And I actually enjoyed the movie, but it wasn't the emotional roller coaster that I thought it was gonna be.
Mhm.
But like at the same time, like I wasn't walking in expecting an action-oriented episode of This Is Us, right? Like,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I
Stole
did
my line.
think, right,
Yeah.
I did think that the emotion in the trailers was gonna match the movie, and so I was surprised about that. But I just the Namor and his people and their culture, like I loved all of that. I also Angela Bassett, she's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely was going to go into the trailer. It for a lot of people, it hit emotionally. And I felt like Ryan in this movie was trying to make the movie a place of healing for the cast as much as a place of healing for whatever reasoning of where the story needed to go. And I we're not going to get into it because it's a non-spoiler review, but I would question what type of movie did you really want? And I'm not asking that necessarily for him as a director or us as an audience, but it's kind of like, what kind of movie do we really want? Did we want this to be emotionally impactful, or it's going to hurt us, or you want to kind of dumb things down and also still take luxuries of, oh man, we've lost somebody. Like where's the plot leaning towards? And that's more of an open-ended question. So you guys are going to be able to kind of decipher that yourself. But Lucas, some of the things that were good, some of the things that were negative, with this one.
Well, let me quickly just, because I think you said it best when you said what type of movie you wanted. Fast 7. That's what most people wanted going into this movie. A movie that has action, has enough emotion to drive the action forward. Instead, you got, as Keaton said, an episode of This Is Us, and not even a good one when it became to the emotional resonance behind this film. But Namor is the shining thing in this movie. I was attempting to find another element of this movie that was really, really good, and it's not one. And it's not for a lack of trying, it's more of a lack of execution. I thought Letty Wright was really good in this movie, but it's just I don't know what it is. They stripped away the emotion from that character a lot in this movie, even though they were trying to give her as many emotional scenes as humanly possible. They just don't resonate at all. Angela Bassett is going to be Angela Bassett in almost everything, but it's at the level of like 911 Angela Bassett, and not of the key movie star actress type of role. It just felt just elementary the way they did the emotional aspects of it. I think that's why Keaton and Jorge said that, you know, the trailers will make you think you're going to be in for this emotional wreck of a film that is going to not only give the emotional resonance behind Chadwick passing, but also behind Namor and his entire backstory, which should be packed with a lot of emotion because it's parallels between the stories. And none of that works. So that would be the failure of this film for me, is that there is no emotion, along with a plot that is nonsensical and almost non-existent. But it's the emotional aspects of this film that failed this film the most. But if this could have been just a Namor movie, this would have been great.
Yeah.
Because he is his introduction. This is the best character from Phase 4 of Marvel, hands down. Matter of fact, screw that. This is probably the best character Marvel has ever put together on screen. He is amazing in what they do with this character in this movie. But this is like the third best movie of Phase 4 because it fails on every other aspect besides him. His people are interesting. His backstory should not have more emotional resonance than Chadwick passing, but it does.
Yeah.
And that's something where I think the best way to put it is that I don't think Ryan went into this film fully grasping what it meant to make this type of movie. If that makes any sense to what I mean by that. Like, not that it's the skill, it's not the skill behind the skill behind him making this film. It's understanding that when you're dealing with emotion, you have to translate that to film for the audience to pick up on it. And whether it be with score, whether it be soundtrack, whether it be mixing, whether it be cinematography, all of that has to play a huge part for you to become more emotional resonant in a film. And none of it happens here. So that would be the downside of it.
So for me, just real quick, I think that Namor was amazing. I think the actor playing Namor, like, he was menacing, he had charisma to him, but I don't think that was the strongest thing necessarily. I think the movie is going to be hard for anybody watching it that, you know, knew and had that moment experience and loving what Black Panther was, not just the film, but also what, you know, Chadwick Boseman did for T'Challa. For this movie, for me, there's a lot of different emotional moments. There's people in the movie theater that was crying about different reasons. I think some people was kind of like, oh man, I miss Chadwick. This is an emotional moment. Like, whether you say that Disney pushed it that way or if it was written that way, I think people have emotional moments for sure. But then there's also a thing about this film that I love, that Letitia's character, to Lucas's point, she's not the cheery person from the second half of this movie to the end of the movie. There's a lot of different emotional turmoil she's dealing with from the beginning of the movie all the way to the end. And I think that they play on certain things and themes that they played with in the first movie, specifically with a certain character, that I really liked. That they blurred those lines between Namor and Shuri's character. I think that in between of understanding like what's the right thing to do or how to handle grief or how to be able to move forward, all the different characters go through that. Even M'Baku, I think M'Baku is 10 times better in this movie than he was in the first one. I think he's memorable in the first one, but they actually give him a focal point in this one. They gave him an emotional focal point that he kind of threads all the different characters in the way that Ryan wrote it. To me, I think play from the whole point is, okay, you lost this king, where do you go from here? So I think that there are emotionally resonant moments. Whether or not they capitalize on them, I don't know. Now, Namor's people, I was going to ask you guys about, do you all agree with like Lucas that they were uninteresting or they didn't really do anything? Because to me, I thought that they had some amazing action moments. I think they had visually
I didn't say that about Namor's people. I said that about basically everyone in Wakanda. Namor's people is not the issue in this movie at all. Yeah, no, I did not say that. I said that is the emotional weight of the film is based off of Namor and his people. I don't base any emotion off of anybody in Wakanda or anything that really happens in Wakanda. So the question would be, did it resonate the same way with people of Namor and his people and their introduction? And did you feel the emotional weight behind his story?
Yeah. Now I do think the negative that I have is there's certain things that happen in the back half that I don't know if I would have handled it that way.
Yeah.
And also, this film, not that it doesn't celebrate Black excellence, but it doesn't celebrate Black excellence like the first one did. It's very different. And I think it's more Namor's film, honestly. Like, I think culturally, like the way that they kind of handle it, like they do such a good job with him and his people that the Wakandans kind of take a sidestep. So it's to what Lucas was saying, as a Namor movie, if this was his first movie and just happened to have Wakandans, that would have been interesting spin on it. I think we kind of mentioned that with another movie that Marvel did that I don't want to talk about ever again. But yeah, so you guys, there were some surprises in this and that we can't really talk about. So you'll have surprises in the film. But were there things else that you guys wanted to bring up about the film?
I actually, I know that y'all might not agree. I actually really enjoyed Riri Williams, the character.
Oh, man.
I think she was a lot of fun.
I thought well, particularly how
they used
her, because I was worried that she was just gonna be there.
They're just gonna put her in there
for
as
no
a token.
reason. Like, look, Wakanda's full of Black people. She's Black.
Right.
It's perfect, right? But they do actually have a plot point for her being there. And that was one thing I was actually really concerned with going in. I was like, why is she there? But
yeah,
I thought they did a good job with that.
Wait, I was going to ask you guys, all you guys, so y'all didn't, Angela Bassett's acting in this one, you guys kind of think it was like her, like, how did you guys think about her in this movie? Because nobody kind of brought it up except for Lucas.
I mean, it was fine for what the movie was trying to give us. I mean, it was what I was expecting, pretty much. Did she deliver what I was expecting? Yes. There's not much to say. I feel like I should be saying more about this movie, but I unfortunately I cannot. And maybe I just need to think about it more and let it resonate. But
yeah, to be fair, I looked at this 3 weeks ago, and this is my second time watching it. I did enjoy it more the second time because the first time I came out of the movie and I was like, what in the world? Let me process this real quick. So yeah, it's fine, Nat. Don't force it. It's all good.
No, Nat know why she said that. It's okay, Nat.
I mean, as far as Riri's concerned, yes, it made sense that she was in there, but did she really need to be in there?
No. Not even a little bit.
She didn't have
to. Could have cut that entire character out of this movie.
There's ways around.
Use her for comic relief. That was the issue. She literally is in there to deliver one-liners. It's literally no difference than the comic relief you get in every Marvel movie. They always have to have that one character that is there to make you laugh or attempt to make you laugh with jokes that don't land.
Yeah.
Like it's the same character all over again. Plus, she has a show coming out, so you got to hype that up also.
This is true. Jorge, any other thoughts that you want to bring through? Because it's really late.
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to think of like positive things that I enjoyed about it. I guess and it's interesting because you were talking, I forgot if it was you, Sam, or Keem, who were talking about like M'Baku and kind of his character. And for me, I thought in the last movie, like he had some of the most memorable lines, or like at least that like it's Challenge Day line, like that thing was hilarious. And I remember that kind of went like viral just with people like doing jokes on that and all that. And I'm trying to think with this movie, and there was no real like moment or like speech that I was like, oh, like this could make for some good stuff. Like this to me felt like just your standard run of the mill superhero movie. Which like bugs me out saying it because I had high hopes. I think this, realistically, it was a Neymar origin story, and you just sprinkled in Wakanda in there. And then you sprinkle in a couple other, random people here and there just so I don't want to say it so that you can say that they were in the movie, but like so that when something happens, let's say later on and throughout this phase, you can look back and be like, oh, they were a part of this. But I think this was one of the first Marvel movies. I'm trying to think before I say this. This was one of the first Marvel movies that I was looking at my watch throughout the movie. Because I think this one was clocked in at what, like 2 hours and 45 minutes, something like that.
2:40, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I would have been happy with like 2 hours. 2 hours and like 10 minutes, maybe. There were some characters that I felt were forced, and maybe there's a bigger picture, later on, and I'll get it. But for now, like some of the introductions of the people that they had, just like it just didn't make sense to me, and some of the reasoning for certain characters to be at certain places, like it just made. I just didn't enjoy that aspect of it. And it makes me just I hate getting out of a movie like this and trying to figure out like what was the point of it. And I think that's kind of where I'm at. Like I almost wish that they just would have made like an emotional movie, almost like a complete like, tribute to like Chadwick, and that would have been the tone for this movie. And instead it was you just had a lot going on. It was almost like they threw everything and they're just hoping something sticks. And other than Neymar, it's like I can't really think of anything else that was like super duper like eye-catching or memorable. In the sense that would make me want to, watch this again in the theaters.
This was supposed to be Wakanda forever, but it didn't feel like Wakanda forever.
It did go on for forever though. I definitely was doing the same thing.
It did, but for an overall sense, mostly because of Namor, it just didn't feel like Wakanda forever. Yeah, you said the lines a few times in this movie, but
it's what happens when you have one character that is so powerful and structurally is the character that most people are going to relate to and love in the film. And then you have it technically be a film about the other people. So then you're stuck and you're wondering, like, every time Namor's on screen, this movie is amazing. Every time he's off screen, you're just waiting till he gets back on screen. And that's the problem. Because if I'm just waiting for him to get back on screen, that means I don't care about anyone else in this movie at all. And I'm trying my best not to care about the plot, because if I did, it makes no sense. Like, none of that made sense. So you're stuck with Neymar being the key thing of this film. And again, maybe this is a bigger issue for them of wondering, does this have to do with the character Neymar possibly not needing to be in this movie at all? Or should this have not been a Black Panther film?
I think I am on the other side of it because I did actually enjoy this movie. Like, honestly, outside of the Spider-Man film, since technically they're Sony, it's probably the best thing Marvel's done since Endgame. I definitely say that. Another thing too that I'm trying like really hard not to do is judge it based off of what I wanted in it. Because the thing is, like, looking at the trailers and like putting everything together, I'm thinking to myself, this is exactly what I want to see. And when I go see it and it's not exactly like that, I don't want to just outright be like, I didn't like that because it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Because honestly, looking at it, like, I actually enjoyed this film. It didn't have everything that I wanted, but I do think it's a step in the right direction compared to what Marvel's been putting out.
I was
question-
gonna ask, just in general, just from ranking standpoint. Yeah, Black Panther. I'm sorry. Well, we'll say Black Panther.
Black Widow.
We had Thor. We had Doctor Strange. We had Eternals. We had Black Widow. I don't even have on this list Spider-Man, but where does this rank for you guys? Real quick.
If Spider-Man's on the list, this ranks number 3 because Shang-Chi has more emotional resonance than this movie. Yeah. And has literally more to do with what to me would have been closer to correcting a ship for Marvel happens in Shang-Chi more than it does in this movie.
What about you guys?
I would probably put it within the top 3 out of 5.
What's your top? Yeah. What's your number 1? For Phase 4.
That's even.
See what I'm saying? Like, I'm just being
Spider-Man number 1 for everybody in Phase 4 at this point.
But we already said we're not even gonna put Spider-Man on the list because it's not even on that same consideration.
It's literally impossible not to put a movie that is part of Marvel's Phase 4 not on a list. You can't say okay, that doesn't count.
What's underneath Spider-Man?
I put Black.
What's underneath Spider-Man?
Yeah. Because it's not all this. I mean, I'm looking right at, like, bro, I would never look at, I don't think I'll look at Thor forever again. I won't do it.
And I'll be completely honest, I didn't even see Eternals. There was nothing I saw in, like, I just didn't want to see it. I still haven't seen Eternals, so I apologize to everyone watching out there because I'm judging a movie before seeing it. I heard Jon Snow was in it. That's kind of cool, I guess. But
I mean,
haven't seen it.
Eternals is forgettable. So yeah, top is definitely Spider-Man. That was emotionally resonating more than Wakanda Forever, which is sad, really. I think I enjoy like the fight scenes on Shang-Chi, and then maybe Wakanda Forever, and then the rest of it is just like I could care less. I mean, Black Widow actually resonated only because of what happened to her in Endgame.
The first 10 minutes of that was awesome, but yeah.
I think the bigger question to ask is, in all honesty, out of all of these films in Phase 4, could it be closest to say that Wakanda Forever technically is a film that has no impact on the MCU?
It's a standalone. Like, it's consolidated within its own thing. Like, it's weird because, well, we can't talk about when it takes place, but
almost all of them are
inconsequential.
Standalones.
Yeah.
No, not really. Eternals has major impact on what moves forward with them. Shang-Chi has major impact.
I haven't seen Eternals. Okay, I'm gonna watch Eternals.
Yeah, you haven't seen Eternals, but Eternals does have major impact moving forward for Marvel. So does Shang-Chi has major impacts moving forward. Doctor Strange has impact moving forward. Thor, I mean, it's horrible, absolutely horrible, but it has some impact moving forward. If you're gonna judge, I mean, Wakanda Forever is just as a standalone, then you would judge it against Spider-Man, and then you really gonna like be like, oh yeah, no, like Spider-Man is. I always say don't judge a Marvel movie by anything but a Marvel movie. At this point, if you're expecting like great acting and emotional scenes, I mean, they set you up with a great trailer, but it's gonna disappoint you if you go in it that way. As Keaton says, don't go in it with your expectations on what you expected. That's why the first thing I said is I cared about the plot. And as Jorge said, you leave this movie wondering what was the point of this movie. And that's the problem, is leaving this movie saying, what's the point of this movie? And again, everybody has to see it first. And I'm pretty sure when people get to the third act, they're going to think of the same thing and be like, oh, really?
Well,
what was the point of this then?
Yeah.
That's the issue.
I didn't look at it. I guess I didn't look at it as what the point of the movie was, because honestly, with me, and this is something that they pretty much showed in the trailer, it was that it was going to be about all of these different characters that they've introduced that we've seen in Wakanda and in the first one, how they reacted to loss and how they responded to grief. And but at the same time, I feel like they didn't do enough with that. Like they didn't do enough with it, but at the same time, that's what I felt like the movie was still about as a whole. Now, and the one thing I will say is it was 2 hours and 40 minutes. And I'm thinking back right now at how was it that long? Like I'm still trying to. What is that?
I think that was somebody's phone attempting to explain to you how it was that long.
Fast forward clock real quick. Yeah.
Yes.
So can I ask a quick question to you guys? And this is gonna sound terrible, but I'm just gonna throw it out there. Do you think like this woke culture that's out there right now, do you think that's killed a lot of these movies? Because when you think about it, you got Black Panther when that came out, and that was strictly like unapologetic, like that was, for Black people, like no questions asked. Shang-Chi, no questions asked, was for the Asian community. Do you think this was kind of like their way of throwing, I don't want to say like a layup to the Latinos out there? Because I didn't really see much. I don't want to say like, I saw more Latin culture and history in this movie than I really did anything else. But yet this is a Black Panther movie. And the only thing all of us have talked about is how great Neymar is. And when you look at, right now, anything Marvel, like you really have no Latin representation, realistically, when you look at all the characters. So do you think that could have been just kind of checking off that box to be like, nope, we got the Latinos in here, and kind of moving forward? Because it's, you start looking at all these subsections, like, and I don't know, like I'm just trying to think, did they focus too much on Neymar than on what they should have? And I say that knowing that I truly love the way that Neymar went and how that all played out, but it makes me wonder if this was just like a check in the box, for us, and I say us like my people. But it makes me it just makes me wonder. That's kind of all.
I don't think they focus on too much. I think there was just too many people they tried to focus on and give screen time to. I think it was they made a lot of rounds with a lot of people. It's like, well, what are they doing? How are they in pain right now? How are they in pain right now? Hey, this person's there. What do they feel like? Like they did a lot of round table type stuff, and I think that's where that 2 hours and 40 minutes came from, in all honesty, because it's like, yeah, they kept switching and being like, well, what's Martin Freeman up to? He's here too, right? He's here. Like,
what's other characters involving Martin Freeman, and why do we even need them in this movie? And you're just sitting back wondering, like, yeah, we really did need them in this movie. It added another 20 minutes to it, but what was the purpose of having them in the movie? I think that's the key part there. And Jorge, you're probably right about checking off a box. It would only make sense because you already have the Black crowd.
Yeah.
It's called Wakanda Forever. You're gonna get Black people no matter what. So maybe maybe they thought, hey, if we get a Latino, because they did say that Ryan made a point of emphasis to make Neymar a Latino character.
I was like,
That was
what?
a point of emphasis for them. So if that's a point of emphasis for them, then yeah, it would only make sense then that's something that they want to get, because it does bring in another audience.
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
mean,
I'm not
realistically,
going to say it's a Marvel thing per se. I think it was a Ryan thing.
no, but
Possibly.
I mean, and I wonder if it's just their, because you look at, DC, obviously they got Black Adam that just came out. You're gonna have Blue Beetle coming out also, I think, next year. Like you're starting to see a lot more diversity over on that side. And I wonder if they're just trying to do like a tit for tat type of thing to just kind of be like, oh no, we got this character here, and oh no, we got this. Like we're representing everybody. So I don't know. It was just something that just kind of
Yeah, I mean, when I first time I watched it, one thing I realized that, the first movie, regardless of what you think about it, and I said this, in the beginning of this review, that Black excellence is what I felt coming out of the first one, even going into it, the prep for the first one. And this one is there, but it isn't. I definitely feel like Ryan really wanted to make sure that Namor was represented. Like I think that like all around, like from the casting to the way they handled it, it definitely brings more resonance to the Latino community. But it's weird because this is a Black Panther movie. So to your point, it definitely is. It's not as heavy and weight. It's not just because Chad was not there. It's dialed down a little bit more for sure. It's more so like Wakanda is grieving and dealing with all their stuff, and you're not really feeling the same weight. It's very different. But I think that was more of a choice to make sure that they did Namor and his people very well. I don't think it was necessarily a check off box. I think imagine if they didn't represent Namor that well, and how this would have turned out. It would have been I ain't gonna say catastrophic, been way worse. But I mean, at the end of the day, for me, like I feel like the movie was very entertaining. It was very long. Yes, I disagree with some of the actions that they do with the plot in the second act. I can't talk about. Some of the surprises I really enjoyed. The moments that were emotionally resonant, some of them actually were really well acted and really well done. I disagree. Like I actually really enjoyed some of when the emotional moments actually were supposed to hit. I actually did enjoy them. I saw some other people that were emotionally connected with them. The bigger question is going to be like, is this something that you guys as the audience, how do you guys feel about it? Like, did you get connected with it? Did you enjoy it? Was it an added, experience that you had coming off of the first one? And then even looking at phase 4, we've talked about all the different kind of films, but to me personally, this is the best out of phase 4 outside of after Spider-Man. All the rest of them are forgettable. All the rest of them I probably wouldn't rewatch. This one I'd actually rewatch for different reasons. And that's why I made in my statement, like I was kind of like, finally you giving me something. You're actually trying with certain weighty moments. I think that Eternals was the one movie that I was kind of like, they have a good option here. They can do something with this, but then they didn't. And that was a really big letdown for me. But this one, not so much. I actually really enjoyed this one. But
so quick question, Sam. Quick question. Then are you judging this movie off of phase 4?
Nah.
Or are you judging it as a whole? Because
no,
you can't
I really
say this is the best of phase 4. But
no,
if
I
you
really enjoyed
compare
the
it to like phase 3 or phase 2 or phase 1, because
nah,
that
I mean,
to me,
if I took
that's what most people are going to do.
Nah. If I took a movie from phase 3, for instance, I took like Ant-Man 2, like I still enjoyed
worst
this
movie
more.
from phase 2.
Oh yeah, that was
you pick Ant-Man 2.
But no, I actually enjoyed this. It didn't have anything to do with. I'm making a statement that the truth is, it's one of the better movies in this phase. That's just the fact. But I'm saying that I personally just enjoyed the movie. It was nothing. Regardless of how anybody in this panel feels, like I personally enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed it even better the second time watching it over again.
It's funny how it goes though, because like the movie had its flaws, but at the same time, when I compare it to Thor 4, it's an Oscar-winning masterpiece. Like it's
it's a low bar.
It's so right. It's such a low bar, and I
that's-
do think, like, I do still, after this movie's come out, I do still feel like the MCU is having an issue right now. But I do feel like this was a step in the right direction as opposed to just still sinking.
Yeah.
But that's why I said about Phase 4, because you just a little bit careful with that, because if it's just Phase 4, then we're stuck and we're like, okay, so what about like as a whole?
No. I mean, my thing is, like, if I looked at the first one and I looked at this one again, like, I wouldn't have any issue watching these two movies back to back. Like, just off of the characters and the story. Like, I actually enjoyed the characters the same. Some characters shouldn't have been in this movie, to be truthfully honest. But then some other characters, I felt like they added to them. I actually liked Angela in this one and what they did with her, but it's still off of the crux of the loss and grief. And if you're going into this thinking that that's what the movie's ought to be about, then I can see where some people could be disappointed depending on how far they lean into Namor and all of that. But I've heard some people say, like, man, they overcooked a lot of this first act because of, Chadwick's loss. And then I've heard some people be like they've overcooked too much because they lean more on Namor. And it's kind of like it's a juggle no matter what.
Yeah, you can't.
We talk about it all the time.
No.
Don't sell people a movie in your trailers that you aren't producing on the screen.
Yeah.
It is very simple. You cannot sell people a movie in the trailer, making them think it's going to be one thing, and then delivering a different movie when they get to the theaters. Because then you're going to get people that's going to be like, "Oh, this is not what I came here to see."
Yeah.
Yep.
And I don't blame anybody who feels they were tricked by a trailer. And we've brought that up with multiple films where you saw it and you're like, "Oh, this is absolute." Thor was the key point. Tricked by a trailer. You thought it was something completely different. Here, you get a great emotional, impactful trailer, and then you get this movie, and I think it's going to be left the audiences aside. Is this what I wanted to see from them?
Yeah. At the end of the day, I'm curious you guys' thoughts. Please let us know in the comments. We went way longer than we were supposed to. We were supposed to go for 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
That's it.
I don't know who told that lie. Every movie review we done did has been 45 minutes. I don't know why you said 20.
You set small goals. That way it didn't end up lasting 2 hours and 40 minutes.
No, that was never going to happen. But don't lie to yourself during your small goals. My goal was 45 minutes. I kind of thought we would be there, especially after everyone says what their score is. I said 45 minutes, 48. That's about right. That's what Black Adam was, 48 minutes. So yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, it's so, man, how many superhero movies have we had this year? Is this
6.
the second or the third? Wait, no.
6.
Wait,
say this year?
Wait, no.
6.
Yeah, right. Dang.
You keep on naming movies. Marvel has dropped 3 movies this year.
It was
my bad. 4 movies this year.
Wait, what was that?
3 or 4 movies from Marvel dropped this year.
Black Adam.
Yeah, because Marvel dropped Thor, Doctor
Strange, and
Thor, Doctor Strange, and Shang-Chi.
No, Shang-Chi was this year.
I mean, not Shang-Chi. Thor, Doctor Strange, and this one. Thor, Doctor Strange, and Wakanda Forever. That's 3.
Yeah. I thought Eternals was earlier this year.
Batman and Black Adam.
Of last year.
Batman and Black Adam also dropped this year.
Batman. That's what I missed that. I was like, I knew there was another DC movie.
Gosh, the Batman was this year.
That was the best.
But yeah, that's
still the best superhero movie.
That was the best superhero
by
movie.
far.
Yeah. I was completely agree. New
superhero movie.
Got no issue for me.
But could we give everybody just give your scores out so we can close this out, because this has been a long review from TeamJVS.
Right,
but it's 5 of us, so it would make sense for it to be this long.
Out of 10.
Out of 10. Wait, are we doing superhero movies off of letters or numbers, Lucas? I can't remember.
Well, we did Black Adam off of a letter, so we're gonna stick with the letter thing.
All right, Nat. A to F.
I would give it a C+.
All right. And Jorge.
I just give it a C. A C.
Oh my god.
It's late, y'all. My bad.
It is like,
Keaton.
it is. I give it a B plus.
Okay.
I give it a B plus. Yeah, just because. Yeah, because if I'm taking everything into account, yeah, I give it a B plus because Namor brought it. Namor just, yeah.
Y'all are
B
hilarious.
plus. B plus.
Lucas. A to
C
F.
minus. C minus. I can't give it a D because that's Black Adam, and this is better than that. So it gets a C minus. It would be a D if I gave Black Adam like a F, but then that would be Thor. So yeah, C minus. And Neymar is the sole reason for the C minus because if he wasn't in this movie, it would be an F. But Neymar gets a C minus. And his little avatar people. Which we didn't talk about, but that's fine. I'm gonna leave that alone. I didn't get to talk about anything about the horrible CGI in this movie and about the underwater stuff looking worse than Aquaman. Didn't get to talk about it, but that's fine. Perfectly fine because they're not underwater long enough for it to matter.
I'm trying. I'm trying to
an A plus, A plus, A plus plus plus.
What?
We already know, Sam. You cried.
Not an A plus. It was actually it's a B plus. It's a B plus for me. I really enjoyed it.
You did all this caping for this movie for a B plus?
Yeah, because I enjoyed the movie. If it all this like this, for a B plus? I gave Spider-Man an A plus. Why would I? Yes, this is not better than Spider-Man. Why would I do that?
See that here's the. I know Sam's real score. So if he gave this a B plus, I know what he really thinks this movie is. Wait, but that's fine. We're gonna let you. No, we're not gonna do that here. This has been another JVS movie review. These people, we're gonna end it.
I can't with any of y'all. Please like, subscribe, hit the bell button. We got a lot more content coming. We got a lot of reviews coming. Thank you, Keaton, for coming, being here in person.
Absolutely. I was happy to come up, meet everybody, see everybody. Ate some Chick-fil-A. I have Chick-fil-A down there, but I ate Chick-fil-A up here, and the line took a lot longer here. It did. There's a whole thing.
Well, me and Nat and Jorge went to the bar before this movie. I told Nat before this movie, I said, I'm gonna need at least 3 drinks to get through this movie. And those 3 drinks got me through. Right? I sobered up as Rihanna started singing her song at the end of the movie. I sobered up a little bit. I wish I had 4 to get through that song.
I missed out on that because the guy at Chick-fil-A took too long and gave Sam's order to a different Sam.
Falling out the top of the I can see the skyline, 50 mile radius on my timeline.